Hey there, it's Bartholomew Perez, engineer, realtor in California and Florida, author and investor. Happy New Year! 2024 is among us and day one. I know most of us started on our New Year's resolutions that might have carried over from last year, and that's okay. I think as long as we're making progression of some kind towards that goal, then that's a good sign. Otherwise, I bid you well. For those of us operating in 2030, yes, you know what I'm talking about. And when it comes to planning to make sure that we're progressively getting to where we want to be, it's a much longer game. It's definitely not a sprint, it's definitely a marathon. So, with that, pace yourself and make sure that you are also taking care of yourself in the process. The question that came to me today was, how did you manage to become comfortable on camera? This was not a learned skill for me. I was a very shy kid growing up. I grew up overweight. I was a chubby kid. I had a terrible acne infestation. Um, I was very shy because of those things, and at the same time, I just lacked a lot of self confidence. So it was definitely a learned skill for me. It became progressively easier over time. I think it had started in middle school, going into high school, where yeah, puberty hit me very hard and it was not forgiving. And then around sophomore, junior year, I became more comfortable with myself. But the early years, what did it look like? I would, oh my God, I avoided all sorts of public appearances or engagements. If I had to speak in class, nope, I'd avoid it. I would, on purpose, miss that part of the period if it came down to it. I was just very shy. I did not like the attention on me. These days, it's not so much being the center of attention, it's more speaking and conveying a message. And that's really what gives me the purpose and the confidence and motivation to be comfortable and being on camera and at the same time on stage, because it is a performance. It can be a performance, but I hate for it to feel that way where it's rehearsed. A lot of the time, I do not rehearse what I speak on camera. It's because I'm comfortable with what I'm saying, what I've lived, and the stories that I've had to overcome. And that makes it a lot easier. Then another thing that helped me was Toastmasters. It When it came to being on stage and refining my presence on stage, making sure that if I was given an impromptu topic on stage, real time, that I can quickly organize a message of some kind. I think at my at my peak in Toastmasters, I was competing what we called at the time table topics, and that was really an impromptu speech. You were given a topic, you did not know about the topic, and you were given 2 to 3 minutes to speak on it. So it was a competition, and the whole point is, can you be engaging? Is it informative? Is it interesting? Is it organized? And is it clearly conveyed at the end, putting all the pieces that you might have said in the 2 to 3 minutes? During that year, I think it was 2014, 20, no, 2015, 2016. I was competing locally at the chapters level, at the region level, and then I went on to compete at the Castaway in Burbank, California. And that was the peak of, there was at least 300 to 400 Toastmasters in the room. We had the world champion of public speaking, Dhananjaya Hariarachi. I was nervous because there's a world champion among us and this weird thing that we like to do, which is public speaking. But that's the sort of situation and scenarios that made me more comfortable with being on camera because, yes, while the component of having a camera in front of you is a little bit different, the conveying the body language, making sure that all these elements are coming together appropriately, they're still there. The difference being is instead of looking at somebody's eyeball, you're looking into a lens. I don't think it's much different. Other things that help make me comfortable is dancing, singing, constantly having engagements where I'm either invited as a public speaker or maybe I'm giving a workshop or seminar. I'm constantly having to deal with people, but it's definitely a learned skill to learn behavior. I have friends that are in the news business, and when I see them on camera, 5, 6 in the morning, uh, you know who I'm talking about, Carlos. Shout out to you because being exhausted if you had a rough night or just, a longer night, I admire that very much. Yeah, that skill. I think if it was televised on a news network, that would be different for me. I would lose composure. So another learned skill. But anyway, another good thing is at the workplace, you're gonna have those opportunities to speak in public or in a large group setting. If you're a team lead, if you're a project manager, program manager, executive, you're constantly talking to stakeholders, your direct reports, your customers. So it behooves you to figure out how to be more comfortable in public and on camera. And if that's not something you're interested in, then I mean, that's okay. But it does make a difference to be conscious of what sort of practice you may need, because then, yeah, you'll get a little bit better. And with that, I think my challenge for this year is going to be on being more active with presenting messages, because last year I did more than the previous year. So 2022 I did probably like 10 different videos. Last year, 2023, I did 25, and this year I would like to hit doubles. So being more active on social media, being more active and purposeful on how and what sort of messages I'm conveying. The core subject that becomes more niche, that's to be determined, but this is all part of the process where learning as I go, because very much like everybody else's story, we're developing real time. And so figuring out, sorry, knowing where we're headed and then figuring out how we're getting there, that's part of the fun. And I owe it to engineering, because STEM really made me to be more confident, to be able to have a plan, to figure out how I'm going to address and approach that plan. And then once I get there, what I'm going to do thereafter. Um, this is being streamed, and a question I have is, you're not even from Boston. Why are you wearing a Red Sox hat? That's true. I'm from LA. Story. So I never had a football team or a baseball team. Started off with football. I would bounce around teams because when I was in the moment with friends watching a game, I would just, whoever's the underdog, that's who I would cheer for. And one year, 2017, 2016, when, yeah, 2017, because that's when the Falcons made their appearance at the Super Bowl. Um, 2016, I made a decision where I want to pick a team. Who should I follow? We were in Santa Clarita, California, at a pizzeria over lunch, and they had a machine where you put 50 cents, and then out comes a little like plastic ball, and there's a team inside it. So I made a decision. Whatever came out, whatever came out of that little machine, that was gonna be my team for like the rest of forever. So out came the Falcons, and then I told myself, let me take this a step further. The I went to Vegas. I'm not big on betting, but this was, I felt okay. Falcons must have come out for a reason, so let me take this a step further. Odds of them making an appearance to the Super Bowl was something close to 40-1, and I placed a bet on them. Surely, 2017, they made an appearance. They lost, but they made the appearance, and that's what the bet was calling for. That was the Falcons. Same thing with Boston. Um, Machine, out came the Red Sox, and hey, okay, same thing. I can, I'm probably one of the few non-owners that can say that their teams of choice have made them money. And hence that's why we're fans. Yes, that's the story of how the Red Sox and the Falcons as teams of choice came. The Lakers, that's just where I'm from, so I will follow basketball, Lakers basketball for that matter. Anyway, thank you for the question online. And this is going to be to be continued. 2024 just started, and I think for all of us, because we're highly motivated given the, nah, it's not just hype. I think everybody, we feed off energy. So if you have people around you that are constantly motivating you, encouraging you to pursue greater, because that's what you envision for yourself, take that and pass it on, because we owe it to ourselves to do great things, and we owe it to others. So as to lift as we rise. Anyway, Bartholomew Perez signing off, and